Shri Mataji Didi, we are all very happy for you to give us your time, and we would like to ask you some questions today. I'd like to introduce myself as Vishwas Nirmal Burak Koch, and yeah, I've been in ISPS for a very long time, and my favorite fruit is an apple, and I'd like to roll the dice to Ananya.
I'm Ananya. I'm in class 7, and my favorite fruit is strawberries.
Wow. How about you?
I'm Liana. I'm from Russia, and I'm studying in class 12 in ISPS. My favorite fruit is pomegranate.
Fantastic. And you?
My name is Aryan Gupta. I'm studying here from class 5. Currently I'm in class 8, and my favorite fruit is lychee.
Very nice.
And what about you, Didi? What's your favorite fruit?
So I've been thinking while you've been saying which is your favorite fruit, and I would like oranges. I love oranges. Yes.
Wow.
And Shri Mataji loved oranges
Really?
too. She came from Nagpur, which is the heartland of oranges. So in the winter, there was a time when we could buy a basket this high, like this, typically they sell baskets like this, cylinders, and they would contain about 100 oranges. And Shri Mataji and I would travel by train, and near the Nagpur station, they would sell these oranges. 5 rupees for the whole box. Those were the days. So mother enjoyed oranges a lot, and I think it grew on me. And also by selection, I had other passions, but for fruit, mango. But slowly that's all gone away. It's now all about oranges.
Oh, okay. That's really nice to hear. Talking about fruits, is there any specific cuisine that you like, or any specific cuisine that mother favored? Because you know how she visited lots of countries, and she's from Italy. Italy has a very vast cuisine itself. I'm also from Turkey. The Middle East is known for its food. So what's your favorite cuisine?
Well, Turkish is amazing. Italian is home grounded virtually. In fact, I never eat pasta outside of Italy. I can't. So it's so good because I know how particular Italians are about their pasta. It has to be just right. Otherwise, it's failed. So it's like that. But I think, Shri Mataji traveled all over the world. And she used to enjoy all of it. I think she has a favorite food in every country, something. Mm-hmm. And mother enjoyed feeding other people. Food was a big medium of love for her because she was Annapurna and she was a very, very fond cook. She used to love to cook and feed, express her love through food, feeding people. Mm-hmm. And if you ask me what was her favorite food, she'll give you a surprise. I mean, all food. She was not a fussy eater. She could eat anything. In fact, she was famous for that more than I can say because my father was. He was particular. He was a very orthodox food eater. But with mother, she could have any kind of food as long as it was not overly spicy. Mm-hmm. What she used to enjoy was things like sugarcane. Mm-hmm. Wow. She would enjoy, what we call hara chana, which is the green gram. Before they harvest it, the black gram. She would enjoy the hara chana, which you take out and, you peel the little pods and you have them green. So she would love to do that, sit in that. Those were some of her favorite things. She also enjoyed any food when it was cooked with love. And I can give you a personal guarantee because I tried making curry once from a recipe I'd read in a magazine. And I think I doubled the turmeric and I was very nervous about that. And it was mother who ate it all and said, it's fantastic. So, out of love. She didn't say, hey, what is this? That was Shri Mataji. So that was what mothers are like in any case. And that was what my mother was like. And she emphasized that, a person who came to the house should always be given something to eat. So if she got to know that someone had come and was not given any food, she used to be quite upset. She was unhappy. Yeah. So that was the thing. And, we went to Russia. Her last visit out of Italy, we were living in Italy in the last few years before mother took her to her other heavenly abode. But we went to Russia. And I remember that when we were there, we went through Samara. And the house was on the banks of the Volga. They had made this beautiful wooden house for Shri Mataji. And there were thousands of people there. And they laid out all kinds of, food, and it was all food with love. And mother absorbed it all so well, everything for her ended up in an expression of love. So anything that had love in it had value. And everything else that is without love has no value at all. And food was one very big way of expressing love. So that's how mummies are, They're always like that. I'm sure your mom is also like that. Correct? That's right.
That's right.
Yeah, and in Russia, they're the great bakers. They make fantastic bread and all kinds of exotic things. Correct? They're very good at that, yes. That's something very, very special. Yeah.
What is your favorite dish that Shri Mataji used to cook for you?
Yeah. Well, mother had many, she had a very varied repertoire of things to cook. But I just remembered that the one thing I learned under her was a thing called dahi bada. This is made in India. It's made out of particular lentil, which is soaked and then ground, and you fluff it and beat it and make it ready like a vada. It's deep fried, and then you soak it and then dress it with yogurt and chutneys and sweet and sour. And she used to make the most excellent soft ones. In India, everybody knows dahi bada. So mother taught me how to make that, and she had a very special technique in doing that. Her dahi badas were the best dahi badas I've ever eaten, with a lot of love inside them. Wow. So what is it that you would look forward to if you all got together for a picnic, supposing, in this part of the world, for food and everything else? How would you prep it if you were given charge of 15 kids and you said yes, you had to go out and food was part of it? So how would you look forward to that? The food part.
We would have some light snacks.
Light snacks. What are your favorite snacks here?
Over here?
Yeah.
I like popcorn
Uh-huh.
and sandwich
Oh, yes.
and French toast
Very nice. Yes.
and cupcakes.
Oh, yes, of course, cupcakes. How about you?
I really like the beverages. But in food, I think I really like mostly oily stuff that contains spice.
For example.
Bread pakoda, bread rolls, and those things are
That's
really tasty.
tasty, yes. How about you?
I like cupcakes. I like the ham sandwich that they make in the school. And what else? I like also the carrot cake they make here.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And
Yeah. More sweet things, yes. Good. And how about you?
Honestly, I'm very happy with the fruits they give us. They give us, like in Turkey, we don't have stuff like, what do they give over here? Actually, previously they used to give us coconuts over here. Mm-hmm. They used to give us coconut water, and I really like that. Mm-hmm. It's not given these days. Mm-hmm. And they also have papaya over here. I've never seen papaya in my life before, and I really also like that.
You like that fruit,
yeah,
yes.
Papaya is really nice.
And how about paneer?
Paneer. Yeah, cottage cheese is also very nice. It lacks a bit salt.
Yeah, but do you know what the word for cheese in Turkish is?
Peynir.
I believe it's paneer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's similar.
Similar
similar,
paneer, yes. Because once I was sitting with two Turkish ladies and I said, have some paneer, and they just stopped eating and they started staring at me, and I said, what happened? And they said, how do you know paneer? I said, that's what you call it here. So I think the Turkish invasion of India brought paneer along with it, and paneer really took over because the whole of North India, it's paneer now.
Yeah.
Matar paneer, palak paneer, these things is a very staple diet. And even naan. I mean, naan is not typically Indian. It's something that has come from the Western world, from maybe Turkey or I don't know. But I suppose a lot of our food came in from Turkey also. But India is such a mixed bag. We have all sorts of cultures which used to come. And that's what ISPS is about, is to mix, because Shri Mataji always talked of deconditioning people. And I think the best way to decondition is to meet people who are unlike you, you know.
Of course.
And you make friends with them and you learn so much, don't you think? Yeah.
Of course.
So it's a lot of fun that way.
Didi, and talking about food, what Shri Mataji used to advise about such food like Coca-Cola and hamburgers? Because there were cases when people used to tell stories that Shri Mataji actually tried all this food. And what was her opinion on it? Like, should we eat it or should we not eat it?
Well, you see, the thing is, Shri Mataji was a very real person, you know. And she liked everything that we like. So hamburgers and Coca-Cola are part of it. Coca-Cola is not part of my world because I can't drink it. It doesn't suit me. But hamburgers, I think it's part of our world. Whether it's good or bad is question 2. But the first thing is we do eat them.
Of course.
And they're the most convenient food to have, especially when you're in a place where you don't have regular staff, like we're spoilt in India for help. Outside it's not. So I imagine that's why they're so popular. That it's a full meal, you know, and easy, not expensive. So you just enjoy it. And I'm sure I've sat with Shri Mataji and eaten hamburgers. I can guarantee you that. As for Coca-Cola, well, Shri Mataji drank every kind of beverage which was just available and presented to her. She would just have it. So I wouldn't want to take a view on that. It's just what Shri Mataji was a flowing river of love. So whatever was offered to her, she would just enjoy.
Huh.
But she would have a lot of fluids. I mean, Shri Mataji used to drink quite a lot of juices, fruit, and water. She made sure she got a lot of liquids in. So that was it. And of course, everyone knows that Shri Mataji has completely advised again anything which is not a normal beverage, which is, you know, healthy. Mm-hmm. Any non-healthy beverage was not on. It was not even in our house. We never had it. So, and now the whole world has come to that same conclusion. After a bit of a journey, people have understood what is good for you and what is not good for you.
Yes, of course.
So, yes. So that was the situation. But then we're talking about somebody who was born in 1923, and that's a long, long while ago, and things have changed a lot. Mother was very adaptive to change, extremely. So, you know, thing about having fixed likes and dislikes and having rigid ideas about food or anything, you know, that is one thing she did not have, and she didn't encourage either. He said, you have to flow, you know. Especially food is something people get a bit stuck on, you know, and they don't like to, you know, they just, it becomes obvious they're not comfortable with food. But Shri Mataji was one person who never got stuck on any menu and I must have this or I must have that. She used to enjoy everything. I don't think there was anything she did not like. Maybe she liked some things a little bit more, you know, and some a little less, but there was no such situation. Mother never took these hard positions ever.
And Didi, talking about food, Shri Mataji also was an excellent cook. So, before Sahaja Yoga, before making Sahaja Yoga known to the world, how did she help people by cooking? How much did she cook for how many people and when and which occasions? How was it?
Oh, Shri Mataji was for me the prime feeder of people in this world. She was fond of cooking. She was fond of giving love through her food. She would, whenever she made food, it was for about 4 times that required for the people. So it was like in large pots, and she would feed, and she would make sure the person had 3 helpings. And if they stopped, she would say, "You didn't like it," and a person said, "No, it was very nice." So she said, "Then have some more." So, "No, I can't have." "Then you didn't like it." "No, I liked it." "Then have some more." So then they ended up eating about twice as much as they needed to eat. I'm absolutely witness to all this. And she enjoyed that, enjoyed people enjoying her cooking. That was it. She was like, loved to feed people. And that was an expression of her love. That was it. And this was, we had a very, India as such is not a very private society on the whole. On the average, an Indian household is very open. So your house has a lot of guests. We get a lot of house guests, and people just walk in and stroll in for even meals. They don't, especially in the olden days when things were not, when the rigidity was not there, they would just come and eat whatever was on the table, you know. It was almost normal. They would not inform that we're coming. So the normal practice was you cook a little bit more always, so there's an extra if someone arrived. And our house was full of friends and relatives all the time. So, which was so good for us also, because the attention on us was diffused. There were many people to receive her love, and she was exceedingly happy with that. Our dining table was full of people always, and she enjoyed that a lot. She enjoyed that part, and she would cook whatever. I mean, she had some favorite dishes, and also sometimes she would keep in mind what the person is, you know, where the person is from, because India has so many cuisines, you know. We have like North cuisine, South cuisine, East cuisine, West cuisine. So
every 2 kilometers the food just changes.
2 kilometers a bit close, but yes, I would state-wise definitely. State-wise, the food is, everybody knows this. It's completely different from north to south, from Kashmir to Tamil Nadu to Bengal to Maharashtra. 4 completely different cuisines, no relation to each other. Then you have the in-between starters, you know, and mix of this and mix of that. And then, of course, the regional small details as well. Shri Mataji was very, very interested, and she would enjoy the variety, you know. As opposed to my father, who was a very orthodox eater, you know, he just ate what he liked, which was a specific North Indian, local, regional food. So we grew up with these two different likes of parents, and it's very interesting to see. And my father was a very small eater, so he just ate, and everyone knew this is what he's going to eat, very limited food, and he would just enjoy that. And Shri Mataji used to, she liked South Indian food. We've led a very normal life. We'd go out and have idli, dosa. She would enjoy that. She would enjoy all the street food of Mumbai together with us. All that, everything, all bit of it. She would love taking us out for picnics. She would organize picnic food. We'll all go, and it was very rare, I can tell you, because my father is a very busy man. So getting everyone together for a picnic was a bit tough. But she loved it. So we'd go near Tulsi Lake in Mumbai, and she would pack some food, and we would sit down and enjoy it together. Mother used to like to travel also a lot. We would go to Nagpur, you know, when we were little, my memory. And train journeys, and there would be food on the train because it was a long overnight journey to Nagpur. So you have this packed food, and you enjoy that also. I remember her peeling the boiled eggs, you know, and eating all that. Very, very fond memories. I remember once in Kathmandu, we were there traveling by road, and she was feeding. I had a kid already, but she was taking out food from the tiffin carrier, making little rolls, chapati rolls with vegetables, and feeding with her hand. And I said, "Mom, I'm grown up now." She said, No, I enjoy it. She's feeding with the mouth. Very sweet.
You can never be too old for the mom. Yeah.
I absolutely stamp that. We were always children for her. Always children for her. Never.
So Juliana mentioned about pre-Sahaja Yoga. So before actually Sahaja Yoga became a vast topic around the world right now, what were your observations on how Shri Mataji tried to, at a minute level, spread her love to all the people around her?
There was absolutely no difference. I mean, Sahaja Yoga, you can say, because we mark our time with days, calendar time, you know, but and therefore people say 1970, you know, and that was a time when it was there wide open. On the other hand, the essence of it, the essence of that love, and was always there, because there were so many people in our house, all, as you see now, panned out all over the world as the Sahaj way of life, was our way of life from the very beginning. We had so many people in the house living, and Shri Mataji, you know, she would just flow with them. So many of my cousins were married with her blessings. She loved to organize marriages, Baba Mama's marriage, how she ran around, and so many cousins, all happily married. I must tell you that she was part of the planning and this whole Indian arranged marriage thing. She did it all, and it all worked out very well. And she was she always wanted people to be happy, and she felt that obviously that a happy marriage is the foundation for a good family, So she was very happy to be part of that foundational act of getting two people together. Many of my cousins from my father's side were married with the blessings of Shri Mataji. And there's a thing called arranged marriage in India, the classic arranged marriage. And one of my cousins actually was on the ship. He was sailing. He was a captain on a merchant vessel. And when he was around 27, he said, I've been traveling, and he's had a very, so many experiences, but he said, I just want to settle down now. And I'm not going to ask, but he used to call her Chachi, which means aunt, paternal aunt from the father's side. So Chachi, just go ahead, find a match for me and I'll just marry her. Eyes closed. So in those days, and even now, I believe you go to matrimonial columns on a newspaper and put an ad literally about marriage, classified ad. So she did that for him, and she chose, she got a whole bunch of offers, and then she shortlisted, she found a particular girl. But when he came from his voyage, he came back and she showed all of them, and she said, I don't want to impose my views on you. You decide. Here are the 50 responses I have. And he zeroed on that. And of course, he was looking at me and asking what it was. I didn't share, but he went straight to that particular picture and he said, this one. And the marriage took place, and they lived happily ever after. That was one such story. Mother made sure. Very connected with everybody. And my father's side of the family and my mother's side of the family had two different cultures completely. My father's side was very orthodox and more remote in terms of location than Nagpur, where Shri Mataji grew up. But you'll be delighted to know that she became the darling of that family. And very, very quickly, she didn't have to work hard. She became a super hit straight away. And they loved her. I'm witness to the kind of affection and respect and gratitude my cousins from my father's side had for her. And that was very, very special. Very special. As dear as anyone can be to a mother, they loved her so much. All the due respect and everything. In fact, I think she was the instrument of love and binding in our family. Father's side, because her own side is what she grew up with, right? It's your husband's side that you have to develop and bind those people to you with your sincerity and love, right? So she did that to perfection, absolutely. And gave a lot of respect, to all of them. So that is how it worked with her.
Yeah, so what was Shri Mataji's views on Indian chai and coffee? Because we have lots of restrictions with them right now, so we'd like to know. Yeah,
chai and coffee. So, there's some very interesting things. One is that I didn't drink chai almost till I was married. I just didn't happen to drink it. My parents spent a lot of... See, my father was a very busy man. Very, very... Ever since I remember, he was extremely hardworking, extremely busy. But that morning, before he went to work, they would get up early and spend at least 2 hours together with their chai. That was their special time. And this was not time for children, because we would get up, rush, get ready and leave for school. So there was no time for us. Food was always there, ready, breakfast, whatever we could grab in the 3 minutes we had for breakfast, and we just flee. But Amma and Papa kept that time very special, and that was the chai time with them. So they would have chai together. So for me, chai and that togetherness went together. Coffee, I think later Shri Mataji used to have some black coffee, but I wouldn't say that was the number one thing in her house, no. And
What about your views on coffee?
My views, I think everyone else, please give me your views on coffee, and then I'll give you mine. Do you drink cold coffee? Do you like it with ice cream and all that?
Yeah, coffee in all flavors. I just like coffee. It's really good.
It's good with the blob of ice cream on it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. How about you?
I prefer chai.
You prefer chai, the boiled chai. You like that one? Yes.
Yes, the boiled.
And in Russia, in any case, they say chai, right? It's the exact same word.
Yes, but we don't drink it usually with milk. But here it's better with milk.
I know. I was in Russia and I've drunk it, the Russian chai as well. It's quite dark, but yeah, without milk, of course. Yeah, how about you?
I haven't really drank coffee, so, but I really like chai.
You like chai, the same chai that we have here, the
Yeah.
brewed chai. Okay, and how about you?
Yeah, well, it was in my culture growing up with chai, like not Indian chai, but Turkish chai, because
Yeah,
an average person drinks like around 6 cups in Turkey. That's a
little
lot.
ones. Yes, of course.
So yeah, chai is pretty good.
Yeah, chai is
Now,
good.
We'd
Yeah.
like to know your view.
My view. So chai, yeah, because I drank it so late, and then we used to do the British separate milk and all that. But then, as I think it's also the seasons degree. You enjoy chai when it's raining. It's typical when it's raining. You have chai and pakoda. This is classic. And then if you brew it and put elaichi in it and all that, it's really, elaichi means cardamom, and you really enjoy that chai. It's special, especially when it's cold and wintry and raining. So I used to also enjoy coffee and cold coffee and ice cream and all the good things of life till I became intolerant of caffeine. So now I don't have coffee or Coca-Cola. I just can't have it. So the divine plan was that you've had enough, now stop. So that's how I stopped.
Okay.
So Didi, talking about Shri Mataji's love for people and her love to organize things, Shri Mataji, to improve this world, she organized ISPS. So what was her vision on this school?
Oh, so ISPS actually, like everything else, because Shri Mataji also started the Sahaj way of life by getting to become a Sahaj Yogi with one person. So it starts in a small way, and that one person became 2 and then so many. So this all started from 70, and then by the time she left for England in 74, the beginning of 74, there were many, many more people, but in Mumbai. So mostly in Mumbai and Maharashtra, because that was where she would travel. And there were always people who needed her everywhere. So she started with that. And then she went to UK, and then she was able to travel a lot. So wherever mother went, like stardust, it just spread. And mother would give it to everybody, because that was her mission, is to get everybody to ascend to the Sahaj way of life. And she whoever she met, you see some people have trouble, and they say, oh, this is a saint. Shall we, from the common man point of view, shall we give our troubles to the saint and discuss it? That would be a sort of entry point for a person into the Sahaj way of life. But then she would give them their self-realization. And once that happened, she always said that even in programs, she would ask, when people would start questioning, she said, don't ask questions now. Take a self-realization and then phrase your questions, if you have any left. She would always say that, because your Kundalini informs you. It gives you all your wisdom, it gives you a balance, it gives you judgment. And then there are no questions, because even while I'm speaking, I can feel right now the movement of the Kundalini, right now. So it is that. And as Mother has said in so many broadcasts and talk, that, it's there for you. And she made it so simple. And Adi Shakti took the form of a woman whom you see so commonly dressed in a sari. So it's somebody you can identify with, She speaks the language of a mother, and everyone has a mother. So she made it easy for everyone to grasp it. That is how it was. That is how.
Didi, I really like reading books. Did Shri Mataji also like to read books?
A lot. She was very fond of, whatever I can remember, supposing from the age of 6 onwards, I know that Shri Mataji used to read a lot of books about also the masters we've had, especially the spiritual masters we had. Even I read with her, and I developed a liking for books and reading, and consequently knowledge. But she used to tell me that when she was very young, she would take up a book and she would want to finish it. So she'd go and climb a tree and sit in the branches and read this book, till she was able to finish it. And then I think she just blessed me with that same passion for books. So it's a good thing, and I would say everyone should really nurture that passion, because books are one way of traveling the cosmos, just sitting in a chair. It's a great thing to do, just to read and get into somebody else's mind and other experiences and the beauty of that expression and everything. And now books have translated in the internet, and so it's all again about acquiring knowledge through the written word, although it's on a screen now. That's what I feel. I think books are and of course you have some favorite books, which you remember and you enjoy. So I think you should tell me something about you. Which books do you enjoy? Which books you like to read?
So as a junior, when we would go to the library, usually with my friends, we would explore the animal world through encyclopedias. So my journey of books started from either comics or encyclopedias. So and I still have comics right now. It's really fun to read comics.
Absolutely, yeah.
There's a specific comic called Tintin. It's very nice.
My goodness. Tintin and what was the name of the dog? Snowy?
Yeah.
Yes, Snowy. And absolutely. And the two who were identical, they were, what were they? The two, Thompson and Thompson. Yes, Thompson and Thompson, yes. So sometimes my sister and I would end up wearing the same clothes and we would say we're Thompson and Thompson. So it was a bit like that. But great humor, I think. Very well written and also very well illustrated. And the captain, and he would use all those big nautical expressions, when he would exclaim, right? Yeah, that was nice. And what are yours? What do you feel?
I like more books that have adventure or mystery. Those kind of books.
Books, yes. Have you heard of a book called The Count of Monte Cristo? It's Alexandre Dumas. Have you read of this? No. Okay. So for me, that's the ultimate adventure. I mean, it's fiction, but very exciting. And what happened to a person, and if I tell you the story, you may not read the book, so I suggest you read it. That's it. Okay. You get many versions. You have the original, which is that big and a little difficult to finish, but you have younger versions of it for children, so you can actually, and nicely illustrated, so make it more interesting. So that's also a good thing. So luckily, we have so many options in books, So and we have a very good library here as well.
Yeah.
So it's a great thing. How about you? What would you like to read if you had 10 different kinds of books? What would you pick up first?
I would pick up classical books because so far I enjoyed them the most. Because my mother, she is a literature teacher, so she always used to give me advice of books. I didn't even need to search for books.
Fantastic. So what did she advise? It's very interesting. What did she advise? Yes.
She just advised me there's 100 books which we need to read in our life so that to be aware of the world, what is happening. So I used to read mostly one of those famous classical books.
Please tell me which ones, the names.
For example, I read Leo Tolstoy and War and Peace, and then I also read Pride and Prejudice.
Shake hands. Yes.
And then Uncle Tom's Cabin.
Yes.
And
beautiful. Yes. And of course, the Russian literature is the vast number of characters and scenarios and time scale. I find, they stretch for a long period. It's so beautiful. There's a book called Resurrection, War and Peace, and all these Shree Mataji used to read. A lot of Russian authors, and Leo Tolstoy was her favorite author, because he was simple and very profound. So she was a great admirer of Leo Tolstoy. Yeah. So I had the benefit also reading these authors with her blessings. And such a beautiful thing, because I think they always talk of a time which was much simpler and a lot of human element, which is something I have started. I'm 75 years old. I miss the human element Everything has become so sort of media mechanical bound that sometimes the simplicity, you miss the simplicity, which I think was essential to Russian depictions in literature. Very simple. Even the language was very simple. That was what I felt. So, great. So, what about you, Beta?
I mostly like the books which use old style of people living, because I can really connect to the past with that. Like either they be from the fantasy or the real world.
So which ones would you name a few that you like?
Yeah, like you see, Lord of the Rings, it contains fantasy, but the way people fight with swords and all is more of the past. I really like that.
Yeah, that's beautiful, isn't it? The way they blend these two things.
Yeah.
The ancient idiom with very modern expressions. So nice, so nice. And also, I think when they address the audience, it's supposed to be about your age, right? Who would read all these? Would be about your age. So they're going to fire up your imagination, and do you like to write at all?
Yeah, I mean, whenever I read a book, I get the inspiration, I should write something.
Yeah,
so
good.
I start writing something, and then I just forget about it, and then I read another book, I think, I'm going to continue my book.
Yeah.
So that I continue.
Yeah. And really nice. I think you should, in school, everyone should have a little forum, a magazine or something where everyone should write. And you do contribute in any case to your monthly newsletter. But it would be great because I think a lot of introduction to a personality is from the way they write, correct? It gives you immediate clue. Even if you've known that person for a long time, you may not got to know enough till you read what they have written. Then you know actually, because when you're writing, you concentrate, and you get to the essence of the personality, and that is flowing through your pen into the paper, and someone reads that paper, so this is what it's about.
Didi, and talking about books and writings, and also about movies. Nowadays we have a lot of movies. People watch movies more than books.
Yes.
So what were Shree Mataji's favorite movies?
Yeah, Shri Mataji's favorite movies. It's sad. I'll have to think because there's so many movies she enjoyed. She was a member of the censor board in Mumbai. Censor board is a body which reviews the movie before it's released for public before audiences, and they remove anything which can be objectionable from any point of view. So she was a member of that board also. She saw both Hindi, Marathi films as well as English films, and my parents would talk about also actors who were in the past. I never saw them. A movie that I think there was a movie in Hindi. Let's go with Hindi first, called Sahabi Bior Gulam. It was from a Bengali novel, which is very famous in India. And this was one of the most famous movies made based on a classical novel. And it was a serious film. It was about, they call it a period film. It was about, I think, almost a century and a half of a life, a century and a half. It was before pre-independence days. It's a very beautiful, complex depiction of life in those days from the eyes of a man who was the chief protagonist, who visits this family who was extremely wealthy and how they were ruined because of their addiction to alcohol. That's the fundamental. If you want it in one line, I would say this. But Shree Mataji was, she enjoyed seeing high art, and especially on the screen. And she had actually, now I remember, launched or became part of an organization called Youth Film Society. This was when I was around 10 years old. And she actually had participated in the production of a film. But I don't think it really was released. It's still in the cans somewhere. I think in Pune it's been preserved. But Youth Film Society was mainly meant to make inspirational film for youth. So she was given this particular facility. There were 2 or 3 people who were financing it, but she was very active also in it and trying to be sort of make everything, energize everything and make people. But there's so many elements in a film, which means you need a place to film, you need photographers, you need lighting, you need actors and other things. So we tried to find actors for this. So the girl was a very pretty girl who had won a beauty competition. Her name was Shobhana. I remember that. And she was contacted, and she just worked for nothing. She was happy to participate. And the hero of the film was somebody we knew. He was very closely connected. And he was wanting to pursue career at that time in films. So we got that person. Then we need a mother of the boy, the hero. Someone suggested a very famous actress called Achala Sachdev. Achala Sachdev, if you've seen any Indian films, would know who Achala Sachdev is. So Achala Sachdev was contacted, and she was a busy woman, so she said, let's see, we can do it. Let's see. And then she appeared on the set. She said, okay, I'll give it a try. So when she came and she saw Shree Mataji, she recognized her, because Achala Sachdev had actually fled the part of India which had been set aside after partition. She belonged to the northwest, and these were in those days called refugees. She was a refugee, and she was actually living with Shri Mataji in her house for a while in those days. So she recognized Shri Mataji, and she was in tears, and then she was absolutely ready to perform. And then she became a very frequent visitor of the house, and they got on very well. It was a very happy story. So this is Shri Mataji and films. And of course, in those days, films, going to a theatre was the way. There was no video or TV also in those days. So we would go with mother. The range of movies we saw with mother was far greater than those which we went with Papa. Because with Papa, we had to think very hard. What is it that he'll approve of? And with Shri Mataji, you could see anything at all. It was totally fine. So it was a very chilled out, to use a common expression, relationship with Shri Mataji as far as movies went. And with Papa, you had to think about 20 times, will it be appropriate? Will he be happy? And also he didn't have the time. He was a very busy person, so it was like that. But it was a big joy.
What was Shri Mataji's vision for ISPS? What did she expect from ISPS?
Yeah, actually ISPS started as a protection for children who were threatened with a lot of insecurity and dislocation, and also to give them the polar opposite experience of complete security, values, nurturing, good nutrition and safety. With that, and then it grew because, well, you see, you don't know the divine plan. We don't know what Mother's divine plan, the grand plan was. Only Mother knew. But what she allowed us to know initially was this beginning point. This is how she wanted to embrace kids and give them a place where they were a little bit adrift. So give them security and a program, organized life, so that they were taken good care of. And she was very emphatic about that we must protect and love the children. That was the main thing. And of course, when they're growing, they have to have a school. So that is how it started. As far as ISPS, then it became a registered high school. And Shri Mataji's attention and resource, a lot of it went into the school. And I can tell you that I believe every year the children would go to Ganpati Pule at the end of the academic year and spend time there. And I was, because I did not live in Mumbai in those days, I was a bit far away, I did not meet so many ISPS kids at that time because of my own distance. But the school kept growing. And the children, Mother had seen already, that was Mother's vision, she had seen already that a lot of children will need a lot of absolutely hardcore protection, in positive protection, and also a little defense from all that they can get into, because it's a fragile world we live in. And Mother saw that they needed Sahaj protection, Sahaj values, and also to nurture Sahaj values, Sahaj protection and nurturing Sahaj values in an organized environment. So it was not meant to be just an ashram or refuge where children should live to spend time because they couldn't have a better alternative. It was meant for education. And parents were happy to participate in that. And a lot of people realized that this is one place where you can, live a very continuous, steady exposure to education on the one hand, and Sahaj culture, and love because you have then an extended family, which I also completely subscribe to and believe that this is, yes, of course, it's an educational institution. Everyone is qualified. It's completely professionally run. However, everyone here nurtures like one family, In that sense, it's completely unique from all other traditional boarding schools, you can say residential schools or day schools as well. So this was the big asset we have today, which is entirely Shree Mataji's creation, that, the people come here and they seek to excel through love. And it's been a learning for everybody, for the children, even for us who organize, and you evolve with the times, things, the complexion of education also changes. There's so many upgrades and so much new to learn, there is much to do. So we walk along with that, and today we are very lucky to have excellent society members who are top level professionals, who are top of the game, as they say, and they give their time, energy and full expertise to each aspect of school in a very real way. I'm not just saying it for the sake of saying it, it's the hardcore truth, and hold hands with the school management in a very affectionate, brotherly and very efficient way. I would say it's working. It's a working situation. So it all works because then we what we do is we end with a very vast family. I believe ISPS is the greatest center, the greatest family in one place of Sahaja Yoga. And you impart learning and you impart culture and security, all three things together. You also learn humility, you learn wisdom, you grow in wisdom, I would say, and you learn tolerance, you learn how to coexist. And would you not say these are the prime requirements of today?
Yeah.
How to sustain and to learn and appreciate and live with somebody who's different from you. And here, Mother made sure that there's so many different kinds of people come here. So you may not look alike, you may not speak alike, you may not eat alike, but you believe alike, So that's a tremendous bond at the deepest level.
I'd like to share something. So in the junior section, when I was here in class 5, I do have a very big history of mischief. I was a very right-sided fellow.
Here?
Yeah. And everything you have mentioned, more than a teaching that came to me, it was a self-introspection. So I really think that ISPS provides you the enough, the surroundings, the environment, so that you can actually introspect on your character. And it comes innately. It's like mothers contacting you from within instead of other people telling me. I've been told 100 times to change. I've not changed. But it has happened to me gradually due to the environment, ISPS environment, which Mother has acted upon me. So what you've said is, I've actually experienced what you've said. So, yeah.
Yeah, and mischief is a beautiful word. And Lord Krishna was the deity of the mischief makers, He was known for that. And Mother loved mischievous children, She just adored them. So it's part of it. And we heartily embrace you and welcome you for your mischief. It's just fine. What would life be without mischief? And that mischief becomes like Krishna in the end, who was the source of the Gita, the wisdom of the Gita. So it's that sweetness, that's it. And remember, I used to break all the pots and steal all the butter. And I believe breaking of pots has continued till today in some way or the other. Kids are baking pots somewhere. So that's a good thing. And it's great. And it's the most normal, natural thing. And Shree Mataji was fully cognizant of the joy of mischief. So it's great. But the similarity is that all of us look at, and Shree Mataji is a uniting factor at the deepest level, because she is the mother of all mothers. And at the deepest level, all our souls are seeking a mother. So she answers that basic need of us all, that we need a mother, that motherly protection. And by taking a human form, she showed us by example how you can be, how you can give love and protection, which is our duty. It's not just a choice. It's a duty to love and protect and respect and dignify all those who are around us, And she did that all the time. And she continues, in my view, doing it all the time. So it's like that.
Talking of mischief, there must have been also cases where you have done some mischief in your childhood. So how was the way Mother taught discipline to you? and in comparison on how we learn discipline in our school in ISPS. So I'd like to know how Shri Mataji would.
What all the mischief that I did. Should I tell you all my secrets? Well, one mischief was rather outstanding. Actually, we were not, since I was a girl, and in those days the girls were slightly slow on mischief as compared to boys, the mischief was mainly related to bunking school. So once I had the courage to hide my little school bag and telling Shri Mataji when term started that I just can't find it. I can't go to school. So, and mother was a bit fed up with me. So that was one of the 2 times I got a spanking. And when she spanked me, I found my bag very fast and left for school. So that did happen. Apart from that, there was not that much scope for mischief in the house. And but mother had a very vast family. There were several brothers and sisters, so I'm sure she had experienced a lot of mischief when she was a young kid herself. And sometimes she has narrated some very hilarious stories about how an uncle swiped a whole piece of wedding cake and everyone was busy searching for this big cake that had disappeared from a wedding. And then that uncle, after they were returning home in the train, he said, "Who wants to eat cake?" And he pulled it out from somewhere, so that kind of mischief. And that uncle grew up to be a very famous politician of India. So see how it benefits when you do mischief. That's what he was. So it's like that. But mother was love incarnate as far as children was concerned. I mean, she connected very well with children, and all children, not only people she knew or of relatives or friends, but the person on the street. And if I'd like to take this a little further beyond children and mischief, how she connected with someone who was absolutely nobody to her. And she was in London. She was driving around Piccadilly in her car, and she saw a young boy, who was sleeping on the pavement, and he was in very bad shape. And then she stopped the car and she called out to this boy, and he was not aware of where he was. He was completely lost. She said, "You come home with me." This is past 1974. Took the child home. He was a young man actually, and she of course kept him in the house, gave him my father's clothes to wear. So that famous story where my father says, "I came home and I saw a young unknown person wearing my clothes and sitting on my drawing room." So from that point, she nourished this child, gave him back his health, his security. He had several issues. You can imagine what they could have been. And they learned that he was an engineer and he was from Australia. He was completely healed. He was normal. He had fled from his family. He was restored to his family. He went back normal way. And she didn't know his name. She didn't know his address. And he never got back to her. So nobody knows actually who he was. But the story stayed because of the hilarious part which my father put in, which I suddenly came home and I saw somebody wearing my clothes and sitting in the drawing room. So he didn't know how to react to that. But what a wonderful thing to happen. And how rare this would be, I think now, just if we zoom out of it and think, could we trust anyone that much that we would bring them to the house without even asking who they are and say, "Come and live," and this was the second time. She'd done it before long ago, and I was probably 5 or 6. They used to narrate the story. Someone who was hurt on a railway track, and she picked up that who was severely bruised. She took him home, nurtured him, and the same kind of thing happened there as well. So Shri Mataji she was very forgiving, and she knew that people have that mischief has its own nutcut, like Krishna, She knew that element in growth. But on the other hand, she never forgave. I mean, there's no question of forgiving. It was not in her book to lose out on human values. She could not bear people who were cruel to children, who were exploitative of children, who did anything, even white children, human beings as such, which was unjust, unfair, and adharmic. Dharma for her was very important. And I think she identified the biggest human dharma as the love and protection of children, which should be our current concern also. And I'm personally very, very concerned about the future of our children. So that is why ISPS came into being.
Didi, and talking about this Shri Mataji's caring nature and her love, did she ever use some methods to discipline, to manage the house? Did she have some specific way of it?
Yeah, like, for example, can you give me an example? If you say, like...
For example, if she wanted to say something and the house was very loud, what could she do?
Yeah. Oh, like saying if you turned on, like today, if you said if the TV is too loud, would she get very fed up and say, oh, put it down or something like that? We had no TV, you see, so that whole area, that question is not applicable. There were some things she had total toleration for, and some things, of course, it was off limits completely. So off limits was never use abusive language. I never heard abusive language in the house. I didn't know anything, and we never used it. In those days, nobody ever used abusive language. Any person who had any worth in education did not use abusive language. So that was one thing. The other thing she did not like was being self-centered, I, me, myself, and not being collective. Now, this was just not on you. If people came to your house, you're not supposed to lock yourself into your bedroom and not talk to them, which happens a lot these days, You take a while to open your heart out and visit and address or interact with people whom you don't know, Oh, the dad's friends or mom's friends, or I don't care, This is completely not possible. You had to blend in. You had to give your best to guests, to your parents' visit, and you had to be very respectful. You cannot back answer. You cannot be disrespectful to elders. This was one big one, No question of being rude, And even if you are upset about something, you were supposed to have that much of discipline to keep quiet, rather than shout back or, be insulting. There's no question of being rude to an elder person. Not only parents, anybody, you cannot do it. And also you had to be very kind to children, even if they were extremely naughty. We had some guests whose children were really chaotic, but she had all the patience for them and expected it out of all of us as well. And I hope we learned something from that.
Didi, what were Shri Mataji's ideas on academics?
Yeah, about education broadly, yes, of course. I mean, for her, this is the thing she... That I would say was universal for that day and age, and Mother was part when India was just becoming independent, so she knew Mother was completely cognizant of the value of good education and dedication to hard work and sincerity towards your academic goals that had to be there. And she did not care for people who were diverted or lazy or frivolous about their goals, That was the thing. You had to be completely focused and work hard. It was complemented, in my case, with my father's presence, because he achieved a lot of success or entirely out of his hard work and focus. So he was a living example of that. And she completely idolized his achievements only through sheer hard work. So that was basically the principle. And education... Of course, because she knew that education is the goal for that age. Even in ancient India, we have 4 stages of life, and the first one is brahmacharya, which means studentship. You go to guru and you learn, and you live a very disciplined life, which is the life of a brahmachari. And she was totally in tune with that. And if the question is how did she react when you kind of failed your test, then I have a specific answer to that also. So it was like that.
So can you please elaborate on the experience you had that you have mentioned, how Shri Mataji reacted if there was some bad academic results?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you this. That my father and mother were, I would say, two parts of a whole, as far as it normally is that way in any family when it comes to your educational experience. My father was the one who would look at the mark sheet very carefully, So, and I mean, typically in India at that day and age, it's the father you fear more, fear, than the bomb, So the report card was much easier to get signed by mom than by dad. So I would rather not give it to dad because he would analyze each and every mark and say, oh, but why is this level and that? And I used to sometimes think that mother's very detached, about this competitive business. She's very keen on learning, on maturity, on values and all that reading and knowledge can give you. I mean, 100%, that is what I gained from mother, was the value of education at all levels. But the competition part of being on top of everything, that my father knew, that you have to strive for the best because this is the purpose of school education, that you have to make the grade in life and all that. So that was it. And later on, even going up to masters, and I think Shri Mataji was kind of vaguely aware that I was having my master's exam and I was studying, and she knew, yes, now I remember one thing, that I did a master's in a subject which was called Ancient Indian Culture. So we had to do eight papers. In those days, we used to call them papers, which was 8 streams of education. And in that, we had ancient Indian religion and philosophy. So by default, I had to learn about the 6 systems of philosophy and all the philosophers, the ancient philosophers, and the academic part, that it as matter of information, not as matter of practice. So I made notes about dhyan, dharana, and so on, turiya. So, and she happened to find my notebook, and I was like not even 21 that, and she said to me, all of a sudden, I'm so happy that you're reading this. This I must record. This was at that time when I was so young. And well, I had this master's. My master's exam was after I got married. I wrote that exam after I was married. So I think Shri Mataji was quite prepared and quite lenient, and she knew that, oh, she's getting married, and there's all the turmoil in your life. It's a complete change of a situation, and you're getting married and you're writing your final master's exam. So it was a big head-on collision between the two things. But with mother's blessings, I was able to study, and I was able to write the exam after I got married in Mumbai. And then I think Shri Mataji and Papa were traveling on a flight together, and she joined him in a flight, and he informed her that I had passed my master's and had got a first class, which in those days was also a good thing to do. Oh, sorry, this is not correct. He informed her that I had got a third class. This was just to tease her. Mm-hmm. And she apparently said, she said she may feel bad, because everyone was prepared to know that I had done miserably because of having just got married 3 weeks before my exam. And then he started laughing and said, no, she's got a first class. So then Shri Mataji was happy about it. And later in life, much later, when I was almost 60 years old, and we were in Italy at that time. In Italia, see, my father was used to meet lots of people, and I said, this is my daughter. And he would say, she's 60 years old. And I would say, Papa, why do you have to say the second thing? Just say the first thing is good. And my mother would introduce me, and I was very embarrassed. And she would say, this is my daughter, and she got the university prize in the masters. That was the only time I realized that it had actually made such a mark of appreciation.
After so many years.
Yeah. Must have always done. She never articulated it. She was not the one to put you on a pedestal, but she nurtured that good feeling, that pride and happiness within her, and say she's the one who did it. So it was like that with mother. Mother's love was very deep, profound, but it was not something that was very loud in her expression. In fact, I think she expected me to understand all this. She didn't have to explain things to me. She expected me to grasp it all in a sahaj way, that it should be always there within me. I should never be anxious about how she's feeling about me. This is what I have understood. That being the biological mother and the child should know completely in a sahaj way what is going on between her and me. That dialogue should be completely silent but clear. That was the thing. But she had the great, she was never relaxed about studies. She never said, oh, it's fine, go play. You don't have to perform. You don't have to do. On the contrary. She was very keen on everybody should do their best of whatever they're trying to do. Don't be half-baked. Don't be insincere towards whatever project you have on hand. Very key. Sincerity was absolutely key. So I'm sure Shri Mataji is hearing our conversation and she's very happy to see her beautiful, beautiful children here in ISPS, and she's waiting to see you perform all the miracles that you will. I'm sure. I'm very impressed with the maturity and dignity of the children I've met from the school. Absolutely stunned, in fact, by what they have become because of living here, maybe, and the innate excellence that spiritual growth gives you, and your ability to identify what is perfection and go for it. I'm stunned. I don't think I see that anywhere in young people today. Generally, I'm sure there are wonderful people out there, but ISPS becomes like a focus of that for me. And it's very, very important, an importance which is growing every day in the current context. Because the gulf is widening, because children need the kind of vision and protection that Shri Mataji gives more and more now in the current context. Do you do agree?
Thank you, Didi. Thank you very much for your time. We're very pleased with the questions you've answered. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for spending time with me. It's great to have beloved ISPS faculty and alumni. Always, it's like sitting with Shri Mataji in her home. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you. Jai Shri Mataji. Jai Shri Mataji.